You ever notice how the biggest fights of your life don't always start out looking like battles? Sometimes they sneak up on you, dressed up as a regular Tuesday morning, and before you know it, you're staring down the kind of showdown that could change everything, not just for you, but for everyone watching. That's how it started for me. Walter Freeman, 62 years old, Purple Heart pinned to my chest, just trying to do my civic duty at the Birmingham courthouse, when suddenly, I found myself standing between a stubborn old judge and everything I thought I knew about respect. Let me back up a sec. See, I spent 32 years in the Army, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, a dozen places in between, so the idea of answering a jury summons felt like nothing compared to what I'd seen. Still, the limp in my right leg flared up every time the weather changed, courtesy of some shrapnel that never did want to leave my body. I thought about calling in for an exemption, but that just didn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? Service doesn't stop because it's inconvenient. So I did what I always did, pressed my dress blues, shined my shoes, lined up my medals. Especially that Purple Heart. If I was showing up for the people's business, I was showing up as my whole self. Walking into the courthouse, I could feel folks watching me. Some nodded, a few whispered, one or two just stared. I've gotten that my whole life, in and out of uniform. Didn't bother me none. But when that bailiff came over, white guy, late 50s, attitude that arrived 5 minutes before he did, he called my uniform a costume and told me I'd have to take it off before seeing the judge. I told him plain, these medals weren't for decoration. They were a record of things I'd lived through, friends I'd lost, promises I'd kept. But he just rolled his eyes and walked off. Didn't matter. My group got called. Into the courtroom we went, Judge Richard Barrett presiding. Now, Barrett had a reputation, you could say. 15 years on the bench, never met a rule he couldn't twist to fit his mood, and always with that edge. He clocked me soon as I walked in, narrowed his eyes at the medals on my chest, especially the Purple Heart. You could feel the temperature drop in the room just from the way he looked at me. Case was some kid accused of shoplifting, a black kid, about 20, with a charge that should have been a warning, not a life sentence. The prosecutor was pressing for maximum time. I'd seen this before. If you look like me or that boy, the benefit of the doubt comes with a price tag most folks can't afford. During jury selection, I kept it short and true. I've sworn to uphold justice for all Americans, I said, and that oath didn't expire when I retired. Guess that was good enough for both lawyers, because I wound up on the jury, one of only 2 black folks on the whole panel. But here's where it gets wild. During a recess, I heard Judge Barrett talking to his clerk. Didn't even bother to whisper. Said something about keeping the right kind of people on the jury and how these people need to learn their place. I'd heard stuff like that before, plenty of times, sometimes whispered, sometimes shouted, but it never failed to piss me off. Not because it was new, but because it was old as dirt and still running the show. Court went on. Judge kept staring at my medals. Finally, after a long day, he called me into his chambers. His office looked like old money, leather, mahogany, pictures of him shaking hands with politicians. He told me flat out, your medals are inappropriate. Remove them or you're out. I asked him, did you ever serve? He bristled, said he got a deferment in Vietnam. My father thought my talents would be wasted, he said. Like fighting for your country is some kind of step down. I stood my ground. Sir, these medals are not for show. This Purple Heart represents men who went home because I didn't give up. I'm not taking it off. He doubled down, threatened contempt, told me, my courtroom, my rules. I left his office angry but determined. I'd faced worse than him before. That night, my grandson Marcus, a law student at Howard, sharp as a tack, dug up every case he could find on military regalia and courtrooms. Turns out, there's no law against it. He was ready to fight, and honestly, that gave me hope. But my daughter Tanya called too, warning me, Daddy, men like Barrett don't like being challenged. Watch your back. She was right. Next day, I wore my medals again. Got called back into court, and before we even started, Barrett called me out. Remove it or you're in contempt. I stood up, every eye in the room on me, and said, this medal represents blood I spilled for the Constitution that governs this room. I will not dishonor that sacrifice. Barrett banged his gavel like he was starting a war. Contempt? $1,000 fine. Bailiff, remove him. As I turned to leave, something happened I'll never forget. People in the gallery stood up with me. Black, white, young, old, standing, silent, in solidarity. Barrett lost it, threatened everyone. But the message was clear. This wasn't just about me anymore. Out in the hallway, a young reporter named Angela Chin asked for my story. I told her, there are no sides, just right and wrong. Her article hit the internet that afternoon. Judge orders veteran to dishonor his sacrifice. And suddenly, the world noticed. Veterans groups from all over sent support. The VFW condemned Barrett's actions. Local folks started wearing their medals to court. Even the Army released my full service record to shut down rumors that started swirling about my background. But Barrett didn't back down. He doubled the fine, threatened jail time. His friends pulled strings. My pension got frozen. Marcus' scholarship was under review. Tanya's promotion disappeared. Grocery store wouldn't take my check. Mail got opened. Phone started echoing like someone was listening. They came for my family, tried to paint me as a fraud. Every time I thought about quitting, someone stepped up. Chin kept digging, found proof Barrett had been kicking black jurors off cases for years, taking bribes from developers, the whole 9 yards. Regina Washington, a civil rights attorney, called out of the blue and offered to take my case pro bono. Veterans from all over sent me their medals, saying, "We're mine, too." Marcus and his friends built a legal team, pulling records, finding other people Barrett had done dirty. And then it hit the fan. Chin got a tape. Barrett, on record, saying these people need to learn their place. It hit national news. FBI started poking around. The Department of Justice opened a civil rights investigation. Barrett's own clerks turned on him, told the truth. His friends deserted him. The ethics committee moved fast for once, suspended him, and started reviewing every case he touched. I wound up in the hospital, stress and old wounds finally catching up with me. But I got my day. Congress called me to testify. I rolled into that hearing, purple heart gleaming, told them what happened. This isn't about vengeance. It's about whether justice applies to all or just some. Marcus handed over files showing Barrett's pattern of bias. I spoke for 2 hours, facts not anger. When Barrett got up there, he folded. Couldn't explain a thing. The committee censured him. Barrett quit rather than be fired, lost his law license, lost everything. State bar set up reviews of his cases, and other judges around the country started getting real nervous about how they'd been running their courtrooms. The Freeman Respect Act passed. Veterans can wear their medals anywhere. Courts are required to record jury demographics, and judicial discipline got teeth. I started a legal defense fund for other veterans. Marcus runs it. Tanya got her promotion back. Chin won a Pulitzer. Jamal Williams, the kid whose case started it all, works for us now, helping people find justice. Barrett wrote me an apology. Said he realized what he'd done. I visited him. No reporters, just 2 old men talking about mistakes. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I needed to let it go. You know what I mean? Today, the system's better, not perfect, but better. That's all anyone can hope for. When I visit Evelyn's grave, I tell her, we did something, Evie. Maybe made it a little easier for the next one coming through. So, if you've ever been told to shrink yourself, to take off what you've earned, to make someone else comfortable, remember Walter Freeman. Sometimes quiet dignity shakes the world. Tell me, have you ever stood up for what was right, even when it cost you? I want to hear your story. Hit like, share, and remind someone. Justice doesn't defend itself. Sometimes it just needs one person to say, not today.